Analysts at Parthian Partners expect Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee to raise the MPR by 25 basis points, while expecting this will have a minimal impact on the stock market. Meanwhile, they also predict the market will close December in the green on the back of corporate actions with notable rally expected in selected stocks. So joining me for this conversation is Olufunmilola Adebowale. She's the head of research at Parthian Partners. Funmilola, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Esther.
Well, let's start. It's been another trading week for investors. Has it been a profitable week for investors? Walk us through this week's highlights.
Actually, this week, the market performance has been mixed to positive. So the first 3 days of the week, we saw the market gained. On Monday, it gained about 0.03%. On Tuesday, 0.23%. And on Wednesday, 0.26%. However, there was some pullback on Thursday, and the market lost about 0.24%. Today, during the midday, the market lost about 0.16%. Hopefully, that means it's likely to close in the red also today. And some of the things we noticed in the market, there were some stocks that actually rallied during the week, the likes of WAPCO, Tantalizers, and some other small cap stocks. For WAPCO, it wasn't surprising. The reason being that historical trend has shown that towards the end of the year, the shares of WAPCO tends to rally. And also, if you look at the three major players in the cement industry that are listed on the exchange, the share price of WAPCO is actually way below the other peers. Before the rally, I think the share price was trading at about 38 naira, compared to Boa Cement that was trading at over 90 naira, and even Dangote Cement at over 470 naira. So the rally in the share price of WAPCO wasn't surprising. We probably expected it, just that we didn't know when it's actually, but we know towards the end of the year, it tends to rally. Then apart from that, we also noticed some movement in some banking stocks.
Sorry to comment. I wanted to talk to, Tantalizers. That's quite an interesting story that's emerging. Earlier, and of course, about a week or two ago, we heard that announcement of a cash injection from some new investors. How does the market feel about Tantalizers? I mean, this stock has been, dormant in the market for years now, but all of a sudden we're seeing this revival.
Yeah, you're very right. We've seen the share price of Tantalizer remain at levels low, but record low. But if you look at it, I think about 2 weeks, like you mentioned, there was a capital injection of about 1 billion naira, and there was also a restructuring of the company's leadership. So that's actually sent a positive signals to investors that, okay, there could be a turnaround for this stock. And what we saw was a rally in the share price of Tantalizer. Hopefully, if once the leadership come on board and have their strategies in place, coupled with the fact that this capital injection will help them, address the financial difficulties they've been experiencing. Right. So we expect it is likely that we could see an upturn, in the performance.
Will you be keeping an eye on this particular company?
Exactly, we will.
All right, let's talk about MPC. That's next week. Market will be watching that. We've had inflation for the month of October come in 33.8%. I guess not too surprising, but you're forecasting, Parthian Partners forecasting 25 basis points hike. Why are you forecasting that?
Yeah, so if you look at the MPC, the CBN specifically, the primary responsibility of the CBN is to achieve price and exchange rate stability. And if you look at the trend of inflation in the last, since the beginning of 2023, it has maintained an upward trend. Though in July and August, it declined briefly, but it's up again. And that's because of, we experienced some flooding in October in some of the food-producing states. There were multiple hikes in the price of PMAs. All this filtered into, inflation numbers in October. We saw it increase to 3.88%, like you mentioned. And in response to the upward inflationary trend, we've seen the MPC increase rate about 5 times since February. By a cumulative of 850% to rein in inflation. Now that inflation has reversed those 2-month downward trend, the MPC will still focus on it to be a major consideration at the meeting, and we are projecting a more conservative rate hike of 25 basis points at that meeting.
Just to send that signal to the market that, look, we're still hawkish, we're still committed to fighting inflation.
And, we expect the market to also react to this, though next week, it's going to influence market performance next week. However, we expect the impact to be short-lived because there are other events, corporate disclosures and other events that we know impact market performance in the short term.
Which of those headlines are you looking out for?
Yeah, so as we move towards December, typically what we see towards the end of the year is that there is a Santa Claus rally. And 2024 is not an exception, though we are projecting a mild rally because of, what has happened. Some stocks are still in their correction mode. Another thing is that the fact that the hike in interest rates is going to push up interest rates, yields in the fixed income market.
Right. If the MPC hikes.
Exactly, because currently they are high,
right.
and some investors will prefer to play safe and take advantage of the high yield in the fixed income market, considering the fact that it's a safe investment.
Right.
So that could limit the rally, the Santa Claus rally that would have actually expected compared to 2022, 2021 when the rally was actually huge.
So it's looking like because right now year-to-date return hovering around 30-31%, and it's been like that for the last couple of weeks, back and forth, but still in that range. Do you see it closing at that number, and would it have been a good return for the Nigerian stock market compared to our emerging or frontier market pairs?
Yes, so like you mentioned, it has been hovering around 31%. To me, I would say it's fair. It's fair. It's still at least maybe at par, a little bit higher than yields we get in the fixed income market. And compared to 2022 when 2020 when the market was down, now at least you're sure that at least your funds are doing well to an extent. And even for investors that have invested in the fixed income market, you are almost at par in terms of return. So it's not bad to say. So it's still a fair rate of return.
Now, looking at some of this year's, not even this month, this year's best performance so far, is there any names on that list that came as a surprise, maybe outliers that just pulled a surprise on the market?
Yeah, for the gainers in 2024, actually, I think the oil and gas sector was a major. It was a sector that actually at least gained, and we're not surprised, considering the fact that last year June there was subsidy removal, there was the regulation as in liberalization in the foreign exchange market, and that actually boosted investor sentiment, and it has impacted the oil and gas sector, because when subsidy is being removed, it tends to boost return in that sector. And don't forget, the PIA too was signed. So now that the market has been liberalized, subsidy has been removed, it shows that we are ready, and we are ready to allow the market to actually determine things in the market. And we always believe that the market is efficient. The invisible hand directly takes.
Right, yeah, right with that one. Olufunmilola, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Pleasure having you on the show with us. Olufunmilola Adebowale, Head of Research at Parthian Partners.